Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Ben and this is my 5th video, which is called the Divine Love Path. So, as I had discussed in my previous video, I explained that I was, with all of my videos actually so far, have been experiencing quite some difficulty in sticking to my story. So continuously I was having these kind of blackouts, like these moments where I completely forgot the storyline that I want to stick to or anything, which made it very difficult for me to kind of like keep the story going, my explanations fluid and feel comfortable in communicating. And for this video, I'm actually going to kind of explain what I think is the cause of that happening, those blackouts. But for that I kind of need to back up a little and explain quite a bit of context in the whole thing, because it's quite a big story. So I've explained in my last video that I found these people on YouTube that kind of got me on the love train. They got me to understand that there is that it's all about the beliefs that you hold, and those beliefs and that you act on are the ones that create the reality that you live in. And that the loving beliefs are the ones that are going to get you the furthest. That way of love, that's what you kind of need to align yourself with and put yourself on that track and jump on that train in order to create and live up to all the potential that you hold in yourself. And one of the YouTubers that I found in the beginning that is also has been explaining this, to really opening my eyes, is Brad Johnson of New Earth Teachings, and he is within the YouTube community kind of famous for channeling this higher entity called Adronis. And I personally really resonate with the way that Adronis explains things, and how Brad Johnson is also sharing his explanations and theories and those kind of things. So, and I gained a lot of knowledge from that YouTube channel. So again, I highly recommend that you check it out. And there was this one video, I don't know exactly which one it was anymore, but he mentioned that there was this person, Australian guy, who claimed to be Jesus Christ. And of course, you probably think right now the same as what I thought at the beginning. Yeah, but there are so many people that could be claiming that they are, like, how can you really know? And in this video, Brad also mentioned that he really checked like all of his like ways to connect with Adronis and with other kinds of mechanisms that he used to determine the truth or what is actually happening. And he also mentioned that he was actually legit. This guy really is the reincarnation of Jesus. So as soon as I could, after I finished this video, I went to look him up, and I found it eventually on his YouTube channel called Divine Truth. His name is AJ Miller, Alan John Miller, and together with Mary Luke, who is also actually the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene, they have this huge YouTube channel, this huge amount of content of presentations that they do in which they explain the divine love path. They explain divine truth and everything that is kind of like in line with that. And for this video, I would kind of like scratch the surface of what it is that AJ and Mary are kind of talking about, and the things that like were most appealing to me quickly, the top 3 topics that he's talking about that made like the quickest and the most impact on myself. But before I really get into that, I think it is important that I give a few arguments why I think that this guy is also really legit. Like, because you've got nothing to lose just to listen to him, and if he is making sense and if he's saying things that are in line with what you or me has been thinking so far and maybe more, then it's definitely worth the try. That's at least what I thought. And the things that immediately got me to really like the guy and kind of like made me eager to listen to them and kind of like think that okay, maybe he's good, is that he is not at all clinging to Christianity, to the Bible, or any kind of religion for that matter. What he does actually is show how different religions, different theories all hold like a little truthful bit of the puzzle, and he puts it all together in a very clear and understandable way. It sense in a way that it all makes a lot of sense and that it's super logical when you hear him think. And for me, when I was listening to this guy, I was thinking, yeah, this makes so much sense. There were certain parts in where I thought that I kind of recognized, that I have always been thinking at least that things were working in that way, but there's the majority of information that he gives was actually brand new, and I never found any source like it that has so much information to share, which I have never heard at any other place, which makes it really an invaluable source of information. And the only reason why somebody could have and know this kind of information, in my opinion, can only be somebody that has actually lived through it and experienced all of that. Else, you cannot make these things up. At least that's how I look at it. And there are so many different topics, like wildly fascinating topics that this guy is talking about. He's of course talking and explaining about God, he's explaining soulmates, he's explaining the law of attraction, he's explaining the sleep state and what is happening when we're dreaming. He's explaining how we're being influenced by other spirits, and he's explaining what happens when after we die. And that's just like just a grasp, like a handful of topics that he has been explaining. Or there's like his whole YouTube channel is huge, and there's so much information. You can listen to it. Like, I have been listening to it already for about half a year right now, and still there is, of course, I never have been able to listen to all of it. I don't really think also that's necessary to listen to all of it, but there is information for everybody on every topic. You just need to kind of like know where to look, I guess, and ask the right questions for yourself to know where to look. So on these, like all of these topics, I kind of would like to quickly go over 3 of them and also give my perspective on them, on how I have experienced something that is related to that topic. And I think probably the best way to start is to kind of like begin at the beginning. So it's on the topic of soulmates and reincarnation, how that actually works, because like that's one of the first things that I've heard which is information that is completely new and different than the explanation of what reincarnation actually is, compared to what I've heard at other places or understood from kind of the New Age theories and beliefs. So what happens is that at the beginning, when a child gets conceived by 2 people that have done the act, is that a soul that fits that combination of people the best way, that soul is incarnated on this planet, into this physical dimension. And what happens with this incarnation is that the soul has a female part and a male part, and at the point of incarnation, those 2 halves are kind of like pulled out of each other, and one part is born and incarnated into this physical dimension, and the other part, which is the other half, will be incarnated like within 5 to 10 years usually, between the first birth of that person. The goal kind of is that once like both of the halves of the soul have been incarnated, they need to find each other again, and that's like the soulmate connection, of course. And because eventually they need to become whole again, they need to become at one with each other again. And that happens by kind of developing through different levels of consciousness. And here on this earth, we are kind of like tested, and we need to learn how to grow through these levels of consciousness. And it's not actually consciousness, it's like levels of love, of how you experience and how you deal with love, or how you grow in love towards yourself, towards other people, towards plants, towards animals, towards the planet, towards everything. The more you grow in your consciousness about love, you will develop in your spirituality, and that actually happens through several levels, several spheres also called. And once you lose your life here in the physical dimension, so you die, your spirit body is continuing in the spirit world. So at the beginning also, once this soul is incarnated, it creates both a physical body for you and a spirit body. And the spirit body is the one that is also the one that you are connected to in your dreams. And at the moment that you die, you lose your life, you lose your physical body in this dimension, you continue in your spirit body from exactly the point that you kind of left off in your understanding of love and what love is and how you love. And after that point, it is a matter of, like, you could have already found your soulmate during your life here on the planet, but it also in the afterlife you can find your soulmate there, and you eventually need to grow through these spheres, different levels of consciousness and love. And there are actually 22 levels so far, as AJ explains, and only you can come and you can only get to the 22nd, so from the 21st till the 22nd, if you are together with your soulmate, if you become at one with your soulmate again. And from that point, so only after you have like reunited with your soulmate, you can reincarnate again. And the reason why you would reincarnate is because you want to share your understanding of love and teach it to everybody else in the universe, so that they go through the same thing, and that everybody helps each other into evolving in their love. But in order to progress through these levels, you need to focus on 3 different things. And that is like a real and intrinsic longing for the love of God. You need to, of course, first believe that there is a God, and that this God is helping you to transform your soul and to grow your soul with His love. So you need to accept His love, you need to believe in His love, and you need to long for His love. And only by asking for God's love, it is possible to transform your own soul and to grow bigger in your understanding and your sharing of love. And the second thing is that you really need to have this strong urge, this strong longing for the truth, for the divine truth, which is what Jesus is explaining, what he is talking about. And I personally really experienced that at this point, that I have always been looking for the truth, and from the moment that I kind of like had my doubts with how society is working and the information that's being shared with us through the mainstream media and through the mainstream education system and all of those things, I kind of started to look for what then the truth is, because I could not believe that it was so fragmented, that it was so difficult and complex, that everybody had to have their own different opinion of it. There had to be something that was just simple and elegant and just made logical sense. And that's actually what I have found here, and what I really honestly feel that it is, that this information that this guy is sharing with us is exactly that. It's so elegant and logical, and the way he's able to explain everything with how we are behaving and what is happening on the planet right now, it all fits in there. So you really need to have the longing to find out about this truth. And the third thing that you need in order to progress through love is humility. And the definition of humility that he kind of holds is, I wrote it down here, is like the passionate desire to experience fully all of your own emotions without blame or condemnation of others. So you need to be willing to confront and work with all of your own emotions, and that's the only thing that you need to focus yourself on. You can always help people, of course, that need love or need to be informed about these kind of things work, but they need to really do that emotional work for themselves. And you cannot judge the people, and you cannot, because every story is different. Everybody has had their own problems during their youth which created emotional injuries and has created this kind of love, this kind of situation for that person, that you cannot judge another person because you never know the complete story of that other person. And you just only need to be fully engaged and focused on your fixing and healing your own emotions. In a lot of sources and that I have, that I use for for spiritual things, and books that I have been reading, people that have been sharing their stuff and their knowledge about it, I am missing in most of it a lot of this emotional work. So everybody is talking about spirituality, like a lot of them in that scene are talking about spirituality and meditation and yoga and how all of that can develop your psychic abilities and create synchronicities and create this beautiful life for you. But none of them are really talking about how important this emotional work in all of this is, and how to deal with these emotional injuries and heal them. And that's something that I really want to make clear here, that you're not going to progress. You probably are going to progress spiritually if you're not really focus on it too much, but your developments and your progression will go so much more rapid if you would really focus on these three things that I've been mentioning in the beginning part. This longing for divine love, this longing for divine truth, and the humility to not judge other people's actions and behaviors, and the humility to openly, to passionately work and own your own emotions, and to just focus on that and do the work in order to heal that situation of yourself. Because only when you align these three things and focus them, that's when you're really going to experience really cool and rapid spiritual developments in your life.